Hey everyone, and welcome to 1.21 Gigawatts. This is our weekly news show. I am Peter, that is Connor, and this is a little bit late this week, although it's actually not going to be late soon. In terms of this will be the regular time for it soon. However, not next week, because next week Connor's away on what would be the new day we record this, so we're going to have to actually record it at the old time next week. But starting after that, we'll be recording Sunday evening and putting this up early Monday. Because things are just shifting around where we do the TV multiverse stuff, but this works better because it's after the box office comes out on the Sunday, so we're a bit more fresh with the box office talk, and that'll be good going forward. As it is though, because we're actually after the numbers for this weekend are up, we have 2 weekends of box office to talk about on this show. But you know, so hey, that's how it goes. So we'll be doing that this week, and then we'll also be talking about the movie news. We've got the comic book section with a bunch of stuff in it. We got the general section, and we got the horror movie section at the end of the show. The sections are time stamped, should you wish to skip through them and so on. But we're going to work our way through. So here we are.
Cool.
We are. So we'll make predictions for next week. Obviously, we can't make predictions for the weekend that we're at the end of now because we're a little bit later this week. But going forward, this will be the new time. But not next week. The following week, though, early Mondays, the new regular time for the movie news. But hey, so yeah, box office. We'll start with box office. So starting with last weekend's box office. Now, Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom came out. And of course we made some guesses for that. You guessed 130 million, I guessed 140 million. The actual total was 148 million. So I'll take the win on that one.
Well deserved.
Yeah, pretty solid. An opening. Obviously the first one did 200 and ended up at 1.6 billion. We'll look at the worldwide figures when we're looking at this weekend's numbers. I'll save that until
when they're up to date. Yeah.
But 148 is absolutely nothing to sneeze at. I think the first one was a surprise at that amount, and I think this is a more like maybe what they'll expect for the third one now after this, you know.
Yeah, I don't think they expected to hit what that first one did anyway.
Yeah. But really solid. Universal can't be displeased with that.
It kind of had a Star Wars thing going on, right? You know, like the return to the franchise.
I did a little bit, yeah.
After a while.
There's definitely some parallels to that.
Yeah.
It is worth mentioning, though, this is actually Universal's second highest opening of all time. The first one, obviously, being Jurassic World. So
they'll be very happy still.
Yeah, so they can't be too upset. Number 2 is Incredibles 2 with 80 million on its second weekend. We actually made some guesses for this. You guessed 100 million. I guessed 85. So I'm taking a double victory this week.
That's fine. I took the Incredibles on the first week.
That you did, but you overestimated week 2. So shame on you. But number 3 was Ocean's 8 with 11.5 million. Number 4 was Tag with 8.2 million. Number 5 was Deadpool 2 with 5.2 million. Number 6 was a Star Wars Story at 4.5 million. That was its 5th weekend. Hereditary was number 7 with 3.6 million. Number 8 was Superfly with 3.4 million. Number 9 was Avengers Infinity War with 2.5 million in its 9th weekend. Number 10 was Won't You Be My Neighbour at 1.8 million. So I just went through that quickly because I think it's obviously more interesting to talk about the new weekend's box office, the one that we just finished. The estimates go up Sunday. Now, that does mean that come Monday, Tuesday, they might change slightly.
But they're usually pretty accurate.
Yeah, it's like 1 or 2 million either way is how much they change. This is typically quite accurate on the Sunday. Now, we can't make proper predictions, but since you haven't seen what Jurassic World made, I'll ask you. I saw it, but I'll ask you what you thought it did at the second weekend.
Let's go 65, maybe 70 in that region.
It was number 1. It made 60 million on its second weekend.
Okay, I'll take that.
That was in the ballpark. So yeah, so that's week 2, and then worldwide then for Jurassic World, it is on 932 million. So it's definitely going to cross the billion. In fact, it'll probably get to maybe about 1.2, maybe 1.3.
Yeah.
The first one.
Yeah,
the first one got to 1.6, so that's a pretty good hold.
It is, given that this was a significantly weaker opening domestically.
Yeah, and given that the consensus... I mean, the consensus for World wasn't great, admittedly, but this one seems a bit more divisive and a lot more upsetting to some people.
Yeah.
As my cat is moving the monitor and therefore the camera a little bit. Yeah, you're always causing trouble, cat. Now move. Okay, so 932 million. So yeah, that's raking in a storm. So number 2 was again Incredibles 2 with 45.5 million on its third weekend. So that's doing pretty well. That's at 646 million worldwide. Still a lot of foreign markets for that to open in though, so that'll probably skyrocket even more as time goes on. But Incredibles 2 are doing well. Number 3, Sicario, Day of the Soldado, or Soldado, is the sequel to Sicario. For all the films to get a sequel,
I know.
It's so weird to me that has a sequel, but that made 19 million.
I feel like that's pretty poor for that. Maybe that's just me.
It was actually tracking low on that. I saw an article earlier saying that it actually exceeded the expectations, not necessarily of the studio, from the get-go, but of the tracking in the last week or so.
Maybe I'm overestimating what the first one did.
Let me see if I can get a link to it quickly and see.
I don't know, there was a lot of buzz around the first one, and this one kind of seems to have just, oh yeah, this is out. I mean, I guess part of it is, the director didn't carry over, which was a big draw for the first one.
Sicario's opening is weird. It had like a limited release before it went wide.
Right.
That said, though, even if you combine those up, it's not even close. I mean, this is actually technically higher.
Really?
Yeah, because it had like a week of only 400,000 in 6 theaters. Then it went to 59 theaters and made 1.7 million. And then when it went wide on its third week, it made 12 million for the weekend. So that didn't have a big launch either.
No, it didn't. It clearly got buzz over time, which is why I assumed it had a slightly bigger launch than that. But
I mean, it's worth mentioning the worldwide gross for the first Sicario is only 84 million.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was not a big moneymaker, no.
Yeah. Given the amount of people talking about it at the time, that seems low.
I think us movie nerds talked about it. I don't know if it was, regular public.
Maybe,
You go and see your Star Wars and your Jurassic Parks. I don't know if they were necessarily going to see it. Number 4 was Uncle Drew. That is the basketball comedy with the fake old men.
Ugh, yeah.
That was number 4 with 15.
Let it do shite.
Yeah, 15.5 million. I think that's fine for a comedy like that.
It is, annoyingly.
To be fair, I've seen like a mix of opinion. I've seen some people think it's really bad. I've seen some reviews saying that it's pretty good for what it is if you're into that type of comedy. Clearly we're not. We were turned off immediately in the trailer. Number 5, Ocean's 8 with 8 million on its fourth weekend. Number 6 is Tag with 5.6 million. Number 7 is Deadpool 2 with 3.4 million. Worldwide, that is now at 719 million. So that's winding down, but for an R-rated movie, that is really good.
How's Ocean's doing worldwide? I know that had a staggered release over worldwide.
Ocean's 8 is on 209 million worldwide.
Well, that's not too shabby.
For its budget and for what they were expecting, I think.
For what it is, I think they'll be pretty happy with that.
Where was that? Number 8 is Sanju with 2.5 million. So I'm assuming that is a Bollywood film or something. Yeah. Yes. So
I think I'd have guessed either Bollywood or Japanese horror. But if it was Japanese horror, I'd know about it because you and Tim would have already been talking about it.
Exactly, yes. No, it looks like a Bollywood movie from the looks of it. It looks like a very serious Bollywood movie. It looked very stern on the poster, but Bollywood all the same. Number 9 is Solo, a Star Wars story with 2.2 million. Let's see what that's at worldwide, because I always have a laugh at this.
You do.
368 million worldwide.
Fair enough.
400's looking out of the question now, which is
it is
fascinating. just fascinating. And then number 10, Won't You Be My Neighbour, with 2.9 million. So that held on to its same spot from last week, and in fact went up 25% in its gross.
Okay.
That's the Mr. Rogers movie. But hey, so that is your top 10. Just for the record, given that Infinity War, even though it's out of the top 10 now, finally, it was number 12 with 1.4 million. I think it's worth just checking out the total now. Maybe the last time we check it now, because it's slowing right down.
Yeah.
But it's at 2 billion and 34 million. So
probably not getting much higher, but
no. But I mean, that's in the top 5 of all time. So
I've got that's not getting much higher, but it's still it hit 2 billion. Credit to it.
Yeah, 2 billion. Not something most movies do, but hey.
What's still above it then?
Avatar, Titanic, Force
obviously.
Awakens. I think it's number 4.
Right. Okay. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So there you go. That is the box office. That's the box office. In terms of predictions, we do have, I believe, Ant-Man and the Wasp for next weekend. Assuming my dates are lining up. Yes. I mean, I suppose technically we could also guess the first Purge, which is out That's out earlier in the week though. It's out on July 4th, out on the Wednesday.
Of course it is,
For
given
obvious
that.
reasons. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to predict for these. I don't want to predict First Purge because it's going to be weird because it'll be like some people will go see it midweek, so it'll make the weekend lower.
Yeah,
It'll be staggered.
but sometimes when they do this, they still count the Wednesdays as and onwards
I
as
wouldn't.
opening weekend. I know I wouldn't either, but I know they sometimes do as the studios.
Same with the Monday and the 4-day weekends. No, I'm comparing the 3-day weekend to 3-day weekends.
No, I agree.
All I'm interested in.
They do count them for these things, annoyingly.
Yeah, but Ant-Man and Wasp out on the 6th next Friday, so we're going to guess that. And
yeah, I have no idea how the first one did. Opening wise.
I think it was like 55 or something like that. It wasn't like a huge opening, but for given the thing, I'm just checking now, see what the opening was. The opening weekend for Ant-Man was 57 million. Interestingly, it was still in a couple of theatres in the early December, so it was playing for a while.
Wait, when did that come out?
It came out in July.
That's what I thought. I swear I saw that in the summer.
It was in 71 theatres on its last weekend from December 11th to 13th.
Did it get a little re-release?
No, it's there every week till then. It only made $33,000, but it was some theatres were still playing it.
Who still got that 5 months later?
The Blu-ray was out by then.
It was long out.
That's just funny to me. Anyway, so we make some guesses for Ant-Man and Wasp. What are you thinking?
I think it does a bit better because people seem to mostly enjoy that first one.
I mean, I think most of the sequels have typically went up a little bit. From if you think of the Phase 1, all the sequels I think were made a bit more.
Yeah, and people are still they're hot on Marvel right now as a whole, coming off of Black Panther and Infinity War.
I'm going to say 85.
I think it's around that
85
area.
million. That's my guess.
I agree it's around that area, but I think I'll go 75.
75. All right, Ant-Man. You're Giant Man as well. Don't forget that. Go Giant. Because even if it's 200 million, which it won't be, but even if it was, I'd win.
You would.
I got a high bet. All right, so that's box office. That'll take us on to movie news. We start with comic book movie news, as per usual. And first up, we got a title for the next Spider-Man movie, which was confirmed a few days later. But the way they actually revealed this is there's been a running joke over the last couple of years that Tom Holland, who plays Spider-Man, is really bad at almost letting out spoilers. And there's a running gag. You can see like some edited videos on YouTube of Benedict Cumberbatch in interviews with him, constantly telling him to shut up. It does shh. No.
They're really playing it up for the marketing, and it's been fun.
So he had like an Instagram post where he was clearly holding like an iPad in the video that had a logo.
Hey, I just got the script. It's cool.
And the logo with the title Spider-Man Far From Home is clearly on the screen. So they had some fun with it. What was funny is I saw some websites say a couple of days later when it was like Sony officially like confirmed that's what it was. Some websites were like phrased it as if, oh, since Tom Holland leaked it a couple of days ago, they've confirmed it now. I'm like, that was intentional, you dickwads.
Yeah. Do you not get this is how marketing works?
This is a joke. Like that was an intentional leak.
It's the same thing that a lot of places, information does get leaked intentionally because leaks are more interesting.
Yeah, and sometimes but you still treat them as leaks because you can't always confirm or whatever if those were intentional.
No, but they'll just confirm a little bit. But as a rule, leaks are more interesting than a press release to most people. So that's why so much of it does leak. Because
it depends what it is. It depends. Like if they were planning like a big thing at Comic-Con, say, and that's when they wanted to do it, that's not necessarily more interesting than a leak.
That's fair, but even then, I feel like they often leak early just to get out of that news cycle. Not always. So some companies more.
Not
than
always.
Others.
Not with movies and Comic-Con. I feel like this is more applicable with video games. Although not leaking specifically, they just announced things outright before E3. But
yeah.
No, there is intentional leaks. I absolutely believe that because they want to hear. Because it's that thing where they want to hear if people like it without admitting that that's what they're doing. And they can gauge what the interest is. Like they do that sometimes, but they really rarely confirm it. And so typically you just have to treat it as leaks. And I still think the majority of leaks are genuine leaks. I don't think it's like a thing where more than half of leaks are actually manufactured. I do think. I think it's like 25% or.
I think the cynic in me says it's a lot more than that.
See, that's it. I'm being cynical. I am assuming they're incompetent, and they can't control the leaks.
I'm being cynical in that they just want to spin the system.
I'm thinking of how much stuff is leaked, how much stuff is like, oh, sources have heard this, and like we get those stories all the time.
Yeah, I basically think they go, just text the journalists that they've got in their phone. You know, they have a stack of them going, hey, you can have this one.
I can't believe that Sony leaked the idea of an anime movie when that came out. I can't believe that.
Oh, I do. I think that is a prime example of them judging a reaction. Them going, maybe.
Oh yeah, but that one's so far that we're looking down on them for even considering it. I don't know. But this one was clearly intentional. This was the joke.
Oh yeah, this is the marketing joke for sure.
But yeah, so it's called Spider-Man: Far From Home. Apparently, the plot revolves around Spider-Man and Peter, more specifically, going on a school trip to Europe. So this will be the first Spider-Man movie that's not largely set in New York, which is interesting.
Yeah, interesting.
But obviously, they're keeping the idea of the word home being in the title. It's not a great title, I don't think, but it's fine. Like, you know.
Yeah, and it gives me less. You know, Homecoming. I knew what to expect.
It had a double meaning because it was like back to Marvel as well as him having his Homecoming dance.
Yeah, and when they announced that they wanted like a John Hughes-esque vibe, and I was like, okay, I get it, I get that title. This one, I'm like, oh, okay, it's a title.
They just wanted to relate to the old one, so they've worded something that makes sense. But I mean,
it's a bit clunky, isn't it?
I mean, maybe he'll also be out of his comfort zone, so that's kind of also tying into being far from home. But
yeah.
Also, I think they confirmed this week that Jake Gyllenhaal is playing Mysterio. I think that's a done deal.
I believe so. Yeah.
So that's your Spider-Man news. Although this is kind of Spider-Man related. The next thing. So if you remember, I'd forgotten about this, but Sony announced a Morbius movie was in development, which is a Spider-Man character, a vampire vigilante who was originally as a villain, but he became a bit more of an anti-hero as time went on. So Daniel Espinosa is set to direct it. And Jared Leto's in talks to star as Morbius. Now, I didn't give a shit about a Morbius movie before now. I actively am against it now that Jared Leto's playing the character.
Yeah, I'm good. Hard pass.
I do not like Jared Leto at all. Him playing a vampire is like exactly the opposite of the type of vampire that I would be interested in seeing.
Yep.
I was saying this earlier, but I got a lot of flack for saying this, and But I was comparing him to Johnny Depp, at least for my taste, where he's at a point now where, I mean, it's not the exact same type of quirky character that he does. Jared Leto's got more of a pretentious thing that he does, where he loves to monologue. But
yeah,
like his character in Blade Runner, his Joker, like all these characters that he feels like an edgier version of Johnny Depp to me now, in a lot of ways, and.
I do understand what you're saying there.
Yeah.
I feel like he occasionally has a different role, right? He's more likely.
But at the same time, it's kind of like Depp, where, like, if I think of movies where he doesn't bother me, I'm thinking of like American Psycho, which is way earlier in his career, much younger.
Yeah.
And he's a supporting character in that, of course.
He was in Dallas Buyers Club, right?
He was, yeah. He got a lot of cred for that performance.
Yeah, and he was very good in that.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, okay. So he started strong because that was, a big role for him earlier on, and then now it is a string of these. Okay,
But in a weird way, I almost feel like it's a knock-on effect from Dallas Buyers Club because it's a very extravagant performance in that he's playing a very different character to himself. He's I can't think of any movies since then where he's played just a guy who's he's got drama problems. It's either he's the Joker with the tattoos and he's got the grill and he's doing the maniacal laugh, or
he must have done something, right?
He's the guy in Blade Runner who's spouting 20-minute monologues about the philosophy of man and the nature of humanity.
Yeah, I'm just like, he must have done something.
Are you on his IMDb? You look at the list now?
I mean, since Dallas Buyers Club, you've had him. He did some stuff with relating to 30 Seconds to Mars. He narrated a short thing. Then you
Yeah.
had the Joker, some short stuff, and then Blade Runner. Then the Outsider. That was that Netflix one, right?
Yes. I mean, okay, it looked more like it was more like a normal movie role, I guess, but
It didn't look very
it
good,
didn't look very good. Yeah.
but I
This
mean,
sort of thing.
it's not in the same line as these other characters that we're
No,
talking about.
I guess I keep expecting him now to do these, over the top characters, and I almost feel like he's almost chasing like what he did, because he got very method acting when he did Dallas Buyers Club. He wanted to really like live in that role, and it's almost like now he has to be completely dressing up as something else, and he has to be.
Well, I think it's very telling that from Dallas Buyers Club in 2013, his next movie, because did a couple of shorts. His next movie was Suicide Squad in 2016, and then his next movie after that was Blade Runner. I think it's very telling that he is clearly only going for those roles at the moment.
Yeah, which makes him less interested. If you I don't know, there's a pretension to him that I can't shake.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
I can't shake it. But hey, so yeah, Leto will play Dr. Michael Morbius, a biochemist who, in an attempt to cure a fatal blood disease, injects himself with a treatment serum derived from bats. He becomes the anti-hero Morbius. He has all the qualities of a vampire, including a taste for human blood. The character originated in the 70s Marvel Comics as Spider-Man's nemesis in the Amazing Spider-Man issue 101, but he evolved into a freestanding comic hero as the decades unfolded.
I'm not going to lie, because I'm not really that familiar with this character. The first half of that backstory just sounds like Man-Bat. He instead of becoming a bat, he becomes a vampire.
Yeah, I've read a fair bit of Spider-Man, but somehow I've managed to dodge most of his appearances. Like, I've seen him pop up like here or there, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just not interested. But hey, next up, Legendary Entertainment has acquired the worldwide film rights to the Aftershock comic called Animosity, which is the Margaret Bennett comic with art by Raphael de la Tour. So this is a survival story about an 11-year-old girl who struggles to survive when the world is plunged into chaos when animals suddenly get the power of speech and heightened thought, and fixate on revenge against the humans who've dominated them. In the midst of all this turmoil is an 11-year-old Jessie, who with her devoted dog, who clearly is not siding with the dogs who know what to uprise, her devoted dog Sandor begins a cross-country journey from New York to San Francisco to find the only person who might be able to protect them and save them.
Yeah, I've read a lot of this. It's fantastic, this comic.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually, basically, most of the dogs kind of went against their families, right? They were like, oh no, you treated us like shit. Whereas this dog was like, no, she was, she's a little girl, she was fun, she played with me, so I'm going to protect her. That's why he does. That's why he still sides with her.
Yeah, he's loyal.
Yeah.
We wouldn't see this with the cats. If this happened with the cats would be loyal.
They wouldn't. They just wouldn't give a shit either. They just piss off and be like, well, I don't need you for food anymore. You're not giving me food, I don't need anything else from you.
I do. They like to snuggle, so they hang around. So it's easy to get food from me. The cat could just talk to me now.
Oh, but they'd be so much more annoying.
I could talk to the cats about the movies I'm watching with them.
Cats are annoying enough already. You don't need to let them talk.
No, talking cats are great. Salem's the best part of Sabrina. I'm saying it right now. Cats with attitude, best thing ever. No, that sounds good. I've not read the comic myself, but I do like the idea. I'm curious to see how they achieve this, like, because this is the sort of thing where I could see them making the speech more telepathic, just so they don't have to have the dogs like animating their mouths.
I feel like the best way to do this is Jungle Book style.
That's a big budget though for something.
It is a big budget, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going that big with this.
No, I don't know if they are, but that's the ideal way to go.
But they're all CG, good CG, but CG.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I said, big budget. Don't know if that's going to happen, if that's feasible, but it's what I would like, ideally.
Oh, I'm into the story. So moving on, Sony Pictures is moving forward with a live-action adaptation of Faith. This is the Valiant comic superhero. They have a deal with Valiant Entertainment overall. They're already making Bloodshot with Vin Diesel and Isaac Gonzalez, who was in Baby Driver. So that's already moving, right? So they've got a second Valiant movie in the works called Faith. And you're waiting for me to make a Buffy reference, right? Because of the name.
No.
because
I'm sure you've got one later. Is all.
No, because Faith was a Slayer on the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I think it's worth mentioning.
I thought you might skip over it and save it for something else later in the show.
I don't know. I can't remember anything later, but I mean, if the opportunity knocks, I want.
No, you've done your one now. That's it. You wasted it.
You always say that. I'll do it 5 times in one show if the opportunities present themselves.
Well, you do it again. The World Cup's coming up.
Shut your face. No, it's not.
Russia knocked out Spain.
The hero, I don't care.
I do. It was exciting. Went to penalties. First penalties game of this World Cup.
I mean, that's how stupid the sport is. It only gets exciting once in a blue moon when it actually goes to penalties.
That's not true. It was exciting yesterday. Well, I mean, the day before.
Exciting. Any sport that's just running back and forth, trying to score a goal or a basket or whatever else is just boring. They're all boring.
That makes no sense.
The only sport that is remotely entertaining this tension is slow sports. Like pool and snooker, there's slow tension as they're trying, because you understand what they're about to do. Can they make it? Can they do it? That's a bit more interesting.
If you understand the sport, you can go, I know what they're doing in this case in football.
But it's too fast and it's going back and forth.
It's not.
Side to side.
You're just thinking too slow.
It's not engaging. There's not enough happening.
Hang on. You just said it was too fast. Does that mean by definition there is a lot happening?
No, it's too fast means the same simple things are happening over and over again very quickly. It's just back and forth, side to side. It's so dull.
Disgraceful.
It's so boring. Like, and football especially is like the most boring sport to watch.
It's really not.
It really is. It really is. Golf is more exciting to watch than football.
No, it's just not.
At least they're hitting something with a big club. There's always a chance the club might go flying and hit someone in the crowd.
I mean, I would hope not from a professional.
Look, my golf knowledge comes from Happy Gilmore, alright? Like that's my baseline.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's really that representative.
And I'm not sticking up for Adam Sandler movies, but I did like that as a kid, that one. That was before he went shit.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much universally agreed on.
But hey, anyway, let me finish my stupid thing here. So Faith Herbert is the name of the character, a jubilant comics and science fiction loving geek who happens to have telekinetic superpowers. Faith marks a step forward towards making spandex characters more inclusive, since the men are almost always muscled and the women are model thin. She's they refer to her as plus size, which I don't think she's huge, but it's just she's not like supermodel thin essentially. Is the idea, which technically Jessica Jones is also supposed to be, but they didn't really go with that in the TV show. They thought, no, we're casting an actress that's sexy.
Yeah.
Oh, the plus size can't be sexy, but that's their thought process.
It was.
So unless she's redrawn, Faith isn't that. She made her debut in 1992 as a member of the Harbinger team, and her accessibility made her popular enough to get her own comic book series. She is able to fly and has the ability to levitate other objects in her companion field. I'm assuming her flight ability is just her telekinetic ability, picking her up.
I assume so,
I'd imagine. She also doesn't brood like most superheroes. She's a pretty effervescent young woman. The current comic series is written by Jodie Houser. Interesting. I did not know that. And the artwork, I like Jodie Houser, is the reason why I say that.
Yeah.
With artwork by Francis Portela and Margaret Savage. In this version, Faith moves to Los Angeles and takes on a secret identity as a reporter. So yeah.
I tried the first issue. It didn't do anything for me.
That's fair. I have read very little Valiant, but this sounds fine. This is better than doing an Aunt May movie.
Well, obviously, most things are.
Most things are. That's the sort of thing with the Valiant characters is I have little to no knowledge in any of them, but I'm perfectly willing to give any movies a try from them.
Yeah. Until they start proving otherwise.
Yeah, there's no reason to assume that this has to be weak or bad. It sounds fine. Yeah. But yeah, so there you go. I want to note though, it only took the Valiant movies 2 to get to a female-led movie.
Yeah. Oh, it's much more impressive than the others.
Yeah, I mean, DC did a little bit better than Marvel because they got to it in movie 5, movie 6, something like that.
If you go from Man of Steel,
yeah,
then Man of Steel, BVS.
Yeah, I'm counting just this universe. Yeah,
Suicide Squad. So 4.
What was the fifth one? Was it not?
Well, Man of Steel, BVS, Suicide Squad.
Oh yeah, 4. You're right.
4.
For some reason, I'm thinking of something else.
4's not bad.
in there. It's not terrible.
And Suicide Squad is arguably female-led.
That's an ensemble, doesn't count.
It is, but the all the marketing was around Harley Quinn. Let's be honest.
It was, but the whole marketing was, hey, isn't she sexy?
That's also true.
They had nothing to sell it on, so here's Margot Robbie looking hot as hell. This is all we have.
It's true, and it seemed to have worked for most people.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's going to work a second time after people saw the first one,
but it worked once. A one-trick pony, but it worked.
Oh dear. So yeah, they got to the second movie, and Marvel's taken like 20 something to get there. We're already on like 19, 20 movies.
To 24, 2.
Yeah.
The difference is staggering.
But hey, so yeah, that's Faith. Sony's had that in development. Next up, Emma Dumont, who plays Polaris in The Gifted. So you know her face.
Oh yeah.
She has been cast as Razor. It's a film called Razor. Director Rob Cohen, which instantly makes me kind of less interested in any of this because Rob Cohen did the first Fast and the Furious. He did Triple X, and he did like Stealth, I think it was called.
Okay.
He's done a lot of really boring, generic, mediocre action movies. But Dumont will star as Nicole Mitchell, a young woman who, as a 10-year-old, witnesses her cop father's murder by a gang of upwardly mobile crime fighters. Crime figures, that makes more sense.
Yeah, I was going to say, what?
Mobile crime figures who seek to thwart his investigation into their nefarious activities.
What's a mobile crime figure?
I have no idea. I think that's what threw me off. I was so busy, like, what the hell's a mobile thing? The trauma lands her... do you know what it is? It's Bane in Dark Knight Rises. Time to go mobile. Like, that's the mobile crime figures. The trauma... they're always on the run. They're always moving.
I mean, maybe that's the idea. They just constantly hit all these different cities. I don't know, but I'm intrigued. More so than I'm in anything else in the movie.
The trauma lands her in a sanitarium for a decade, in which at the same time she develops a complex plan of revenge on the murderers. In the comics, Nicole, in an effort to rid the evil in Chinatown, becomes the superheroine Razor, characterized by her suit, which is equipped with razors on her arms.
This sounds so generic. Like, everything about this is generic.
I'd never heard of this, so I had to look. I didn't tell me what company it came from, like what the publisher was, so I had to look. I googled it to find out. This is what I found on Wikipedia. Razor is a fictional character from the London Night Studios series Razor. I have never heard of that publisher.
Me either.
But hey,
was that the whole article? Please tell me that was the whole article.
Oh no! That was just the first line of Wikipedia. I just copied that because that's all I wanted to know. But
I'm disappointed now.
But hey, that takes us out of the general news. First up, here's something I didn't expect to read this week. Jim Carrey's in talks for Sonic the Hedgehog to play Robotnik. Which, by the way, I just want to give them props, because at some point in the games they changed his name to Eggman. It used to be Dr. Robotnik, and then they changed it somewhere along the way to Eggman. They simplified it for the kiddies, and I'm like, Robotnik was a cool name. As a kid, I liked Robotnik. Why you? No,
I don't hate Eggman.
It's fine, but it's not. If that was just his name always, I'd like it. But they changed it from Robotnik, which was a cool name.
Can't argue with that.
So, I actually like this. Now, admittedly, Robotnik should be a chubby fellow, but
he's just gonna have a fat suit on, isn't he?
Possibly. This is the thing, though. This is the type of character that I think gets away with the fat suit.
You might be right.
It's so over the top. I can see him with the big fake, mustache.
That's the most important part. I need the facial hair.
Yeah.
Do you know who could? I'm feeling like what Neil Patrick Harris did with Lemony Snicket.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
That's the kind of character I want for this, which Jim Carrey could do.
Well, it so happens that Jim Carrey played the same character in the movie.
No, exactly. That's what I mean, but he could. His take wasn't as good, clearly, but he could do that style for this. Yeah,
it's over the top. I can see it working. He needs to, get the ball cap going, get the big stupid mustache, give him some padding for the fatness. Like, I could see this working. I think, Jim Carrey doing like a Mask-esque take on Robotnik, where he's always like clenching his fist and being angry at Sonic.
Yeah,
I can see it. It works. So I'm good with it. And remember that James Marsden's in this. I'd forgotten about that.
Oh yeah, that guy.
I was like, oh yeah, he's in this. Directed by
That
Jeff
boring
Fowler.
bastard that you forgot about him.
Yes. But hey. Next up, the fifth Indiana Jones film. I said that weird. The fifth Indiana Jones film. I said Indiana Jones.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Who's Iana Jones?
So yeah, Indy 5, which is going to be directed by Spielberg and starring Harrison Ford, has been pushed back months, maybe even a year, and because of that, it will not hit its July 10th, 2020 release date. So it's looking like 2021 now before it happens. And all I can think when I read the list for something like this is, I'm like, and this is kind of morbid, but I'm like, these guys aren't young. Like, pushing this back a year feels like you're just playing with fate at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, these are. I mean, I think Ford's in his 80s now.
I actually have no idea how old he is. To be.
I think he's pushing 80. He's late 70s at the very least. And I'm like, but more specifically, it's not so much that I think he's going to be dead. Like, if you wait another year, it's more that I think this is a role where he's supposed to be running around and doing active things.
He's 75.
Oh, he's actually a little bit younger than I thought he was.
He'll be 76 this month.
Oh, fair enough. He's a little bit younger than I thought he was. I genuinely thought he was a little bit older than that. Yeah. But this is a role that requires him to run around and be a bit active, and I'm sure they'll tone it down compared to the original because he's of his age. But
because he's 75, yeah.
But like, it's just, I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, he's working on West Side Story first. That's kind of why. He's also got a historical drama that he's sneaking in called The Kidnapping of Edgardo Mortara, starring Mark Rylance. Which basically says to me, it's that year's Bridge of Spies.
Yep. Hard pass. That movie was boring.
A lot of Spielberg's movies have been boring in the last 10 years.
Yeah, but that one looked like the sort of movie I should enjoy. But it wasn't very good.
Can't say I'm thrilled at the idea of a West Side Story remake either. So you know what, Spielberg can go do what he wants. He's earned the right to do whatever the hell he feels like.
I'm a fan of West Side Story, so I'm intrigued on that one. I don't know if I need it. It's one of those where I don't really need a remake, but
I'll happily not see them. Even Indy 5, I'm like, I'll see it because I like the Indiana Jones series, but I'm not expecting good things from it. Like, I'm not excited about it.
Yeah. I think they brought on John Kasdan to redo the script as well, right? I don't know if you've got that there.
Yeah, Jonathan Kasdan is going to do a rewrite. David Cope did a draft first, and now Kasdan's going to work on it. Is that the son of the guy who did Empire?
It is, and he did work on Solo as well. Yeah, he wrote that script.
But you seem to like.
I did, yeah.
So,
I think he's a pretty good writer from what I've seen.
So there you go. That's Indy 5's been pushed back. But hey, so next up, Sony is putting together a new version of Little Women, and it's got Greta Gerwig is going to direct it, who of course did Lady Bird, which was very critically acclaimed, very good film. And the cast that are in talks now. Keep in mind, I think Greta Gerwig and all the cast are all in talks. No one's actually signed, but I mean these tend to end up with them signing, like
more often than not.
Yeah. So here's the cast though they've got in line for this: Meryl Streep, Emma Stone, Saoirse Ronan, Timothée Chalamet, and I don't know who Florence Pugh is, but those first of the list are all quite impressive.
Yeah. Meryl Streep is the one that I'm least excited for because I feel like every movie she just plays the same thing now.
Yes, and she always gets nominated for.
And it's just like it wasn't even that impressive. It was fine.
I feel. I can't even say that because I very rarely see the movies she's in because they never appeal to me. But I saw the post obviously earlier this year, and I'm like, yeah, she's fine in this, but I don't see why everyone raves about Meryl Streep.
It's not award worthy, is it? It's perfectly good.
But anyway, so Little Women centers on the March sisters, Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy, on their journey to womanhood, guided by their Marmee. I've never heard that before. I'm assuming that's the non-Scottish version of Mammy.
Yeah?
I'll say Mammy. Guided by their Mammy.
Why not?
The novel, which is loosely based on Alcott and her three sisters, is going through numerous adaptations. Yeah, I mean, I've heard of Little Women, of course. It's just something that's, it's a big thing in pop culture. It's been made multiple times. Obviously, the book's quite big, but I've never actually seen any version of it.
Me either.
So, I don't know if it's the sort of thing that appeals to me. I mean,
no, I might see this one though because Greta Gerwig and most of the cast I like.
That would be a reason to do so. I think I have to wait and see how it's handled. I mean, as much as I trust Gerwig to do a good job, like if she's going to play it like true to the book, and I get the sense that it's, I mean, that's maybe completely wrong, but I get the impression it's quite dry.
Mm.
So I don't know.
No, that's fair. Like I said, after Ledwell, I'm willing to give it a shot at least.
Yeah. Next up, Netflix has made a deal with Mark Wahlberg and Peter Berg,
Just
along
what
with
we needed.
Robert B. Parker. The Robert B. Parker estate. Not he's dead, but his estate. To bring back for a potential series of films called Spencer. Have you heard of these?
Can't say I have.
It's a poetry-spouting, wisecracking, boxer-turned-Boston-based private eye that was made famous in 40 novels by Parker, and then other people went on to write more. So, I'd never heard of this character, honestly. This is completely new to me. And apparently he had 3 seasons of a TV show in the 80s that starred Robert Urich.
All news to me.
Yeah. The first film would be an adaptation of Robert B. Parker's Wonderland, one of the 8 Spencer mystery novels actually written by Ace Atkins, who took over the series after Parker died in 2010. So it's kind of the modern era of this character.
Yeah.
The movie will differ from the novel in that it begins with Spencer emerging from a prison stretch, stripped of his private eye investigator license, and here he's pulled back into the underbelly of the Boston crime world when he uncovers the truth about a sensational murder and the twisted conspiracy behind it. This sounds like something that I might think was fun. Honestly, Mark Wahlberg's involvement immediately tanks my interest.
Yeah, same. I'm not really sure what the tone of it is. Like, is it supposed to be quirky? Because you mentioned like poetry spouting.
Yeah, I'm getting like a Boston version of Poirot almost from the description.
Yeah, I could see that.
With the thick Boston accent.
I mean, I have to, right?
Yeah.
But Wahlberg.
Yeah, Wahlberg basically makes, because it's not just that I don't like Wahlberg. Is like he never even tends to be in movies I even kind of like, because the type of movies he does are just also movies that tend to be quite sort of generic, bland.
Yeah.
Either action movies or whatever. And this wasn't on him necessarily, but I'll never forgive him and Michael Bay for Pain and Gain. The Rock gets a pass. The Rock was trying his hardest to make that entertaining. He was doing his best, bless him. But it never quite
Just
got
forgiving
there.
him because you happen to like him.
I do like him, but you know, I smell what he's cooking. That was a wrestling reference.
I know it was a wrestling reference. I don't get it, but I know it's a wrestling reference.
Anyway, next up, okay, I need to warn you. This next story I have a lot of text for because the backstory to this was so insane. I had to take it all down.
Oh God, right, okay.
George Gallo has become attached to direct a film called The Nazi Titanic.
I'm already in. He's telling me this.
No, this is insane. A film that tells the backstory, the crazy backstory of German World War II propaganda film about the most famous shipping disaster, which itself turned out to be a cinematic disaster of epic proportions. It's been cast now by a script by Scott D. Rosenbaum and Josh Posner. So while there are memorable films about the Titanic itself, obviously, Cameron's Titanic, A Night to Remember from the 40s. Or 30s even, that might have been. But there's the band, the banned and barely seen 1943 Nazi film has a wretched behind-the-scenes backstory about just as about any film ever made, even though Adolf Hitler and his Nazi propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels, or is it Goebbels?
Goebbels?
Goebbels, yeah, Goebbels, commissioned it to be their greatest cinematic triumph. So while Cameron's Titanic, I'm just sort of going to abbreviate this bit a little, but his film went over budget. The producer was scared to go to the doctor during it because he was worried about his blood pressure. He was scared to find out how his blood, because it kept going over budget. But of course, that was a success story because it ended up being the highest grossing film of all time for a long time. That trounced expectations. This film, though, the Nazi Titanic's director Herbert Selpin didn't even make it to the end of the shoot. He was hanged in a jail cell by the Nazis for dissing the Third Reich in an on-set tirade. So that Joe, what was getting me about this as I was reading it is that parts of this sound like darkly funny, and then it gets really serious because the director was murdered, and then the end of this is really dark as well, like really dark. So Goebbels became infatuated with film as a propaganda medium. Among the swarms of films he made was the virulently anti-Semitic Sus the Jew, a drama about an innocent German girl raped by a Jewish man. That film became a huge hit in Germany, demonstrating how propaganda films could sway the population towards hatred. Emboldened, Goebbels saw his propaganda masterpiece Opportunity, a Titanic movie designed to blame the tragedy on Great Britain and American greed and incompetence. There was even a fictitious German officer who tries in vain to save the day despite the incompetence of the British. That was going to be like a big part of the movie. See, this part's quite funny. Like, hearing what they wanted to put in it is kind of funny to me. Like, it's just like fascinating to hear what their plans were. But it gets really dark later. So Goebbels hired Zeppelin, a temperamental, hard-drinking director who'd made previous propaganda films. Zeppelin was given unlimited resources because Nazi Germany. Yeah, so we'll just keep throwing money at it. It's fine. And just as Cameron's Titanic would become the most expensive film of its time, Selpin presided over budget said to be the equivalent of $180 to $200 million in today's money. Which, so that would have been, numbers-wise, that would have been, ridiculous.
Huge at the time, yeah.
Luxury liner the Nazis were building to be as large as the Titanic, called the Cap. So they were building an actual big ship to film on.
Okay.
Right? Hence why the expense was kind of racking up. Arcona was conscripted for the film shoot, and the soldiers were taken out of battle to serve as extras in the film. After the director returned from a meeting with Goebbels when Hitler's henchmen became worried about the runaway production, Selpin became upset to find the soldiers drafted for the film were hungover. So the filmmaker let loose a rant about the Third Reich, the quality of the fighting force, and just about everything else he could think of. His temper tantrum would prove fatal. Goebbels had spies on the set who reported back to what the director had said. When Selpin refused to retract his statements, so I mean they were nice to him, they gave him a chance to retract. Just take it back.
I mean, that's mostly than I expect from them.
I'm being facetious, clearly. He was thrown in jail cell and died suspiciously, believed to be hanged by Nazis. So they kind of, they pretended it was mysterious, but it wasn't really. Another filmmaker finished the film. Shown in a few territories, Nazi Titanic was then pulled in back and banned by Goebbels himself, who suddenly feared that the film would demoralise the German population, who were realising that, like Titanic passengers, that they were helpless while the Third Reich was going down like a sinking ship. See, that part's funny, but then it hits you with this blow to the gut. In the ultimate tragedy, the Nazis loaded the Cap Arcona with a concentration camp set of prisoners, planning to sink the ship. British bombers spotted the ship from above and destroyed it, thinking it was just a German ship.
As they would.
Yeah, so the sad, like, really tragic irony at the end there is that a British plane, killed a bunch of innocent people on that ship, but... So it's got a really dark ending, and there's dark elements there, as anything, talking about the Third Reich and all that would be, but there's odd, like, fascination. Like, you can tell why they're making a movie about this. This is insane.
It's a hell of a story, right?
Yeah, it's like, because I kept like thinking, this will be the last paragraph I copy. I don't need the rest, but then I'd read the next one and be like, no, this last part's too important. I can't leave that out.
You need it, yeah.
So, that was, so they're making a movie about this. That should be quite an interesting film if it's good. Like, if they pull this off, this could be a fascinating tale.
Yeah, definitely.
So look out for that. So that's the Nazi Titanic. I'm almost surprised they're going to try and call it that, but it actually has. It's such a
I feel like what else do you call it, right?
It's also it's got such a like a stark ring to it. Like, you hear that and go, a what? What's this movie?
You have to know more, right?
Yeah, because either it's like some stupid B movie about a Nazi Titanic, or
equally entertaining, I'm sure, or
it's something else, or something to it. So what is it? What's it about?
Yeah.
But hey, so that does take us onto the horror movie section, and we start off. Blumhouse, regulars of this section, Blumhouse Productions and Automatic are teaming up to co-produce a feminist horror film called Run Sweetheart Run. Shayna Fest, whose latest movie Boundaries recently opened the world and world premiered at South by Southwest. She also directed The Greatest, which opened Sundance Festival. It didn't open, but it was a big movie at Sundance before. She wrote the script and is going to direct Run Sweetheart Run. And in the film, a blind date turns violent and the woman has to get home on foot through Los Angeles as she's pursued by her date.
Okay.
I just kind of like the sound of this because it sounds like it's all one night. It sounds like, it goes bad, he becomes a stalker, and she's trying to get through the dangerous city, with him on her tail.
A lot of this is going to depend on the direction.
No, that's fair, yeah.
But it's not a bad premise.
No, I like the sound of it. I like how simple it is, but it rings true. Not just because,
people do this.
Yeah, stalkers be stalkers, but just in terms of a movie, it's nice and simple. And it's like, okay, that sounds believable. But it's but there's like actual potential for a lot of good horror stuff there as well. So I like the sound of this one. Run, Sweetheart, Run. So yeah. Next up, supernatural horror thriller The Prodigy, previously titled Descendant, is going to be released by Orion Pictures in the US next February. The film stars Taylor Schilling and Jackson Robert Scott, who was in It and Fear the Walking Dead. The first person was on Orange is the New Black. It follows a mother who is concerned about her young son's disturbing behaviour and starts to think that something supernatural may be affecting him. It was directed by Nicholas McCarthy, who directed The Pact. Sounds a bit generic to me. Sounds like a generic,
Yeah, nothing's making me go, oh, I need to see this one.
Especially since I saw The Pact, and I thought that was a really generic supernatural movie. There was nothing to it for me. That said, although I think the twist was that there wasn't actually anything supernatural, now that I'm thinking about it. Although spoilers for The Pact, but it wasn't very good, so don't worry about it. Although I think Katie Lotz was in. I think that's where I first saw her before she popped up on Arrow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think because that was like 2012 or something like that came out. So it was just before, because she was
before she got recast.
Because she was in season 2, yeah. So
yeah.
I think it was just before that. Because I remember her showing up and going, "Oh, that was her from The Pact."
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, actually, no, I think I said that was her from that horror film I saw and didn't remember the name of.
Yeah, was she any good in it?
Can't remember.
Fair enough.
I can't remember. I remember being bored. That's all I remember about it, to be honest.
Probably wasn't her fault.
Probably not. Probably not. She's okay. But next up, so Gravitas Ventures has acquired the US rights to Along Came the Devil, starring Sydney Sweeney. This was previously titled as Tell Me Your Name, so that's a couple in a row that have had title changes, since their inception. But
I think this is a better title.
Sure, Along Came the Devil's a better title. Although it's not original, I'm fairly certain there's probably a movie called this already.
It probably is, but I'd still take my chances with that, with a better title than something that just isn't going to grab anyone.
But yeah, so it's inspired by true events. It's directed by Jason Devan. It's written by him and Heather Devan and Dylan Matlock. What's interesting here, and there's not a lot here, it just says Sweeney plays a young woman who, after a troubled childhood, unwittingly invites a demonic force, leaving her loved ones battling for her soul. So it's a possession movie, teenage girl gets taken over. So it doesn't sound particularly exciting on its own,
seems pretty standard.
Very typical. But you never know, the direction here from Devan might be good.
I think the thing with a lot of, especially horror movie premises, is, you describe a possession movie, you describe a demon movie, a lot of them are going to sound similar, even if you describe the good ones. Oh yeah, The Conjuring on paper doesn't sound any better than, yeah.
So something shit. I can't think of a shit one off the top of my head.
No,
I like to forget them all. The Darkness, The Conjuring is much better than Darkness, but on paper, it doesn't necessarily sound that. I mean, actually, The Darkness has the whole thing where it comes from like native stones and stuff like that. So maybe that one actually does sound bad on paper, but there's other supernatural movies where there's nothing necessarily different or better in the premise itself. It's just the script itself and then the direction is what really sells it. Actually, what was interesting about this though is the actress here, Sydney Sweeney. That is Eden on The Handmaid's Tale.
All right.
Well, it's cool because we know who she is because we just watched that. But what I thought was really interesting is she's going to be in this horror movie. It says here she's going to be in Sharp Objects in HBO, which we're trying just in about a week's time.
Oh God, is she going to be that next Tessa Thompson that's just everywhere?
She's also in Under the Silver Lake. That's the next film from the director of It Follows.
Yeah.
So that's multiple things that I know I'll be seeing that she's going to be in.
Yeah.
Because I'll be seeing this horror movie for Screams when it comes out, but we're trying Sharp Objects soon, and Under the Silver Lake we'll probably be seeing and reviewing as soon as we can, whenever it's, out.
Most likely, after It Follows being phenomenal.
So, I just started laughing. We didn't know who this girl was when she showed up in Handmaid's Tale just, a couple of months ago, and all of a sudden, she's in, 4 different projects.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she's the next Tessa Thompson.
So I hope they've got her locked in for the contract on Handmaid's Tale, because she seems to be getting a lot of offers from a lot of things.
I mean, yeah, assuming we need her next season.
Okay, you're making some predictions about the last couple of episodes.
I'm just saying, to anyone who's been following Handmaid's Tale and our reviews, we've said we don't really know what the next season's going to be with the way that where they are right now. Sure. So, who knows?
Yeah. So next up, 20th Century Fox is finalising a deal for a film called The Boogeyman. It is a pitch package horror film that teams Stephen King's short story with Scott Beck and Brian Woods, and And what's notable about them, because you probably don't recognise those names, but those two writers wrote A Quiet Place. So you've got some people behind one of the best horror movies of the year. You've got Stephen King's short story. And actually, I wrote at the end of this. This was my own little thought, just so that I remember to say this. Do you remember it making a lot of money? Because this is not the first Stephen King story we've heard is in the works in the last 6 months. Not by a long shot.
No, it's not.
So this is King's short story was first published in 1973 and later re-released in the 1978 Night Shift collection. The Boogeyman follows a man who recently lost his children to a creature lurking in the closet. Not a lot to go on, but definitely sounds like a nice spooky Stephen King story.
Yeah, Stephen King kind of gets a pass-on premise-wise, because you kind of know... No, I was not saying everything he does is great, but there's a benchmark, right?
Yeah. What's the over-under that it's set in Maine?
I'm not taking that.
So, The Boogeyman has been a favourite of short filmmakers. I just added this on as well from the article because I thought this was kind of an interesting little thing. It's been adapted into 7 short films, 7 times. And it's what King calls a dollar baby deal, a non-commercial and non-exclusive rights option. So basically, he gives this out for dirt cheap to students to make films. They're not allowed to sell it and make money off of it, but he gives out the rights for really cheap, so they can do it if they want.
No, that's cool.
Yeah, so that's really cool. Yeah, I like that. It's someone who's made. I mean, I never wanted to adapt to it when I was making student films, but it's a cool idea. It's a cool that.
But if you respect that he's like, hey, you want to use something because not everyone has a script ready.
Well, yeah, because this is the thing. In my course, we weren't necessarily encouraged to write scripts necessarily. We had a script writing class, but when we were going off to make our projects, some people weren't interested in script writing, so they just had to knock something out. I was interested in doing it. I was interested in making my own story, but there is a lot of students who want to direct things and want to light things and edit things, but don't want to write stories. This is perfect for that. Whereas, we'll just adapt. Yeah, just give us this.
I mean, it's true to the industry as a whole. There are a lot of directors who don't write. I mean, of course, you get some that do both, but not all of them by any means.
Yeah, I think there's more than there used to be. I think it's more 50-50 now. As it is too.
No, I agree. I think it's kind of come up as
the auteur, the one who writes and directs their own thing.
I think it's kind of the bedroom producer angle. The idea that now people are taught to do a lot of these. They're taught to combine all these skills because of things like YouTube. They're told, go and make something and put it on YouTube because anyone can now, right? Anyone can just grab a camera.
Yeah. So you have to learn to do all of it
on their phone. Yeah. So people are a lot more versatile.
Yeah. But hey, so The Boogeyman, that's another Stephen King thing. And would you believe it? Speaking of Stephen King, so Faith Atkin will direct Universal Pictures and Akiva Goldsman and Blumhouse Productions adaptation. So we got Blumhouse again. So this is Blumhouse and Stephen King. I don't know if we've had that combo yet. That's maybe a killer combo.
Yeah, I don't think we have. None spring to mind.
This is actually quite a famous one. There was a movie already in the 80s, I believe, Firestarter. Famous King novel. Story follows a young girl who develops pyrokinetic abilities and is abducted by a secret government agency that wants to harness her powerful gifts as a weapon. I'm not sure if this is strictly a horror film because this sounds like it might be more of a thriller where you've got this sort of superpowered being. I can see it verging. I've never seen it clearly, but the way I'm not sure if it's a straight up horror movie, but it might be.
Should have checked with our resident King expert, Tim.
I should have checked with him. He was busy. He's at con this week, though. He's busy.
He is, but he can always find 20 seconds to talk about King.
Yeah, that's true. But it was Stephen King and Blumhouse, so it felt weird not to put it in the horror section.
I agree.
I feel like a safe bet.
As much as Blumhouse are making edges at, trying other things.
Yes.
Still, you think horror first and foremost.
Yeah. So that's that. And then last up, just a quick update on one movie we already know about. That's Doctor Sleep. That is the Shining sequel that has Ewan McGregor in it. We now have another cast member in talks. We have Rebecca Ferguson's in negotiations to co-star. She was in the fifth and the new Mission Impossible and some other stuff. That's what I know her from, but she's probably been in a few things. But I just thought I'd give an update on that. That's ticking along. That's going to be directed by Mike Flanagan, who of course has directed a few films, like the last one being Gerald's Game for Netflix. A Stephen
King adaptation.
Yeah, there you go. That was the funny thing is I was joking last year that after it, everyone was going to be making and they are a lot of Stephen
everyone
King.
Already was.
But there was already a couple of Netflix ones happening, so it wasn't like there was none before. It's definitely increased, but there was always King stuff in the works.
And then you even had a thing like Castle Rock. That was already in production by that point, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, absolutely, it was.
So
that's coming
like,
up soon. That's
a couple of weeks, I think.
Yeah, it's like 3 weeks, I think. Till Castle Rock starts.
It's mid July, maybe. It's
maybe early August. Actually, now I'm thinking about it.
No, I'm looking at
July? Okay.
25th. We've got it scheduled as. So I'm
There you
assuming
go.
that.
So about 4 weeks then.
Yeah.
But hey, so yes, a lot of Stephen King stuff, and he's pretty solid. Stephen King. I think Stephen King, like, he never completely blows me away, but he's always a solid, entertaining, like, storyteller. I think.
That's fair.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, I think he's a pulpy storyteller. He's not like, if I'm comparing him to a movie director, he's like who's a good like solid director who never makes like great films. Who am I thinking of? He does really popular mainstream stuff that's really solid and works really well. But he's not over on the corner ever making his auteur masterpiece. If that makes sense.
I think given the significant size of his body of work, it's remarkable how consistent he is.
Because he churns out so much a year that it's almost, I almost wish that he actually said, no, I'm going to spend a whole year in one book just to see how good it was at the end.
Yeah, but given how much he does put out and how much generally by and large people like and are considered as hits.
Yeah,
but obviously not everything is, but by and large the majority. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, he does a lot of stuff, and I don't want to diminish what I just said, because I understand some people I think consider Dark Tower series to be like his opus and stuff.
I think he does as well.
Which is funny because obviously that's not really a horror story, whereas he's mostly known for churning out a lot of horror stories.
I think that's funny is that I think that because he started with horror, right? Carrey is where he started, but I think he's done so much variety. Like, you have a lot of dramas. You have things like Dark Tower. You've got
Shawshank and Green Mile. And,
I think the horrors are what got adapted a lot because they're the cheapest, right?
And to be fair, I think the first Dark Tower he started working on as a teenager, I want to say.
He did, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if it got published before Carrey, but
no, I don't think it did. I think he started in with writing magazine column.
But it was like I remember just him talking about Dark Tower being something he's been working on since he was a teenager, and
obviously that includes like references and characters from so many of his other works.
Yeah. So anyway, lots of King stuff happening. So be excited. Some of them are about to turn out to be good, right?
I mean, even if 10% of King adaptations are good, that still leaves you with a reasonable amount of movies.
That still leaves you
pretty enjoyable.
That leaves you with a good solid 20 films probably to still enjoy.
It probably does.
But he's not at 10% yet. I think that's fair to say.
No, that's fair.
That's fair to say. I mean, he's got his big ones. You got Shawshank. You got The Mist. You got The Shining. Although he doesn't like The Shining, but it's a fantastic film.
It is. You got it. I think it's not amazing, but I think it comes down on the good
solid,
side.
Yeah, you got Green Mile, which is a very, very good film.
I don't. Most people seem to have been into Gerald's Game more than you were.
I mean, I still thought it was pretty solid. It was just the ending that made me.
It comes down on the good side. What was it? Netflix said another one like
1922. 22 was it? Yeah, Thomas Jane. It was Thomas Jane of Cornfields. That was the post. I don't watch that one. No, I've not seen it, but.
Oh, okay.
Tim watched it and said it wasn't exact. I mean, it was kind of a horror, but it wasn't necessarily something we would do in streams. So it's definitely more veering towards thriller. From what he said.
Did Tim like it?
I think he did. Yeah, I'll be a bit vague in my memory to be honest, but I think he did.
So I mean, that's 7 or 8 already. Just off the top of our head, they're pretty good.
Yeah. Someone's probably streaming that as an obvious one that's amazing.
There probably is, but there's just too many that we can't keep up with them all.
I do have a blast with Silver Bullet, but I don't think it's that good. It's just Gary Busey is an absolute he's a fantastic Gary Busey.
Full Busey.
He's full Busey, and even because he's the crazy uncle who keeps letting the kid get away with stuff, and the parents don't talk to our son about that, and I'm like, I bet Gary Busey's exactly like this in real life. He's the one teaching the kid to drink beer, and the parents are like, no, what are you doing? This is Gary Busey, I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
He's just playing himself. There's a lot of actors in that you recognise though. What do we call him from Twin Peaks and Under Siege 2? Ed from Twin Peaks. He's in it.
Oh, okay.
He's the priest. Terry O'Quinn from Lost. He's like the sheriff in that movie, but he's much younger, obviously. Whereas Everett McGill. This was maybe a couple of years before Twin Peaks, so he's I recognise him directly from that. Whereas Terry O'Quinn, I think of as Lost age.
Yeah.
Full bald, basically. But no. So hey, And they're in a movie with Gary Busey, and it's gold. I'll tell you what Gary Busey movie is
I think
also
we should
gold.
end every show with a Gary Busey discussion. I think it would improve everything.
All right, next week we'll talk about Hider in the House.
Sounds good.
He hides in the attic behind a wall.
It still sounds like Gary Busey, doesn't it?
But then he sneaks outside and then pretends he's a neighbour so he can chat up the wife. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's not a good movie, but it's wonderful. It's wonderful. Joe, who's in that actually? The husband is Chuck from Better Call Saul.
Oh, okay, cool. You're wasting this discussion. We could have had this next week.
I'm not going to remember this next week.
This is important trivia for next week's
No,
outro.
you're getting it this week. But no, it's great.
You're blowing your load.
Yeah, the wife's actually an actress that I recognise as well. I can't remember her name off the top of my head though. But yeah, so it's Chuck from Better Call Saul. He's the husband.
Michael McKean, I think.
Michael McKean. There you go. But yeah, so no, that's a fun bad movie with Gary Busey in it. Gary Busey, man, he's a legend. He's that crazy guy who just the energy's always there. I mean, it's not always suitable, but the energy's always there.
It's undeniable.
But hey, so that's the news this week. Sometimes at the end of the show we'll talk about movies we watched this week if it wasn't for review purposes. If we got any extras in, I doubt we did this week. I didn't.
I think I did. I'm gonna double check, but there's still the football on. It's slowing down now because it's not quite once every day.
I watched like 5 movies this week, but they were all for shows because me and Tim are banking episodes for the future for Screams. So we're watching a lot of movies, but they're all review movies. So
yeah. I just watched the one that we did for Influx, but
yeah, because I watched since the last time we recorded news. I watched 4 movies for Screams. I watched that Influx movie, and I watched an Overload movie today with Matt. Coherence.
So you did 6.
Yeah, so I had 6 movies. They were just all for review.
As I said, the football's slowing down. It was on 3-4 games a day for 2 weeks straight. Whereas now we're getting to the stages where you get a few days off here or there. So that's when I can go, right, get a movie in. And obviously I've been working overtime, which hasn't helped.
Yeah, but we have actually some make-up episodes of Influx, our movie review show, because we missed a bunch during April and May when TV was really busy. So you can expect, not every week, but you can expect a fair number of weeks in July and August to have 2 in a week.
Yeah.
To make up for that missing time. So that's coming. Otherwise, guys, let us know what you thought of the news in the comments, like and subscribe, all the usual stuff. That supports us. If you want to support us even more than that, though, of course, go over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. There's a bunch of bonuses over there. The first ever 121 Extra will be later today, like late tonight or tomorrow at the time of this going up, because we're recording it tomorrow. For patrons. That was originally in a $3 tier, although I think we decided we're going to bump these down to the $1 tier. So you get the extra shows, the exclusive 121 Extra and Almost Cancelled Extra for $1 if you want to check those out. So we'll be talking about aspect ratios in that first one. The Almost Cancelled one's already up.
Yeah, as much as we're excited about aspect ratios, don't let it put you off. They're not all going to be aspect ratios. They're not all going to be Peter lecturing you.
That's just the first episode. There'll be different topics each month. Sometimes it'll be a bit of genre. Sometimes it'll be about maybe like movie technology. Sometimes it'll be about
history.
They're just different movie topics. We'll just have a nice casual chat about them.
You're free to suggest topics as well.
Of course you are. Yes, free to suggest topics. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching movies, guys. I don't have my catchphrase yet. I was talking in the trailer show about having a catchphrase for the end of the movie shows. Not quite got one yet. But that's coming. It's coming soon. Catchphrase is coming soon to a theatre near you. That could be there's a catchphrase.
Catchphrase coming soon. That's it. That's all you need.
The catchphrase is coming soon. No, that was better for the trailers though, because that's like trailer related specifically.
Yeah. I think the trailer one is just gonna be catchphrase coming soon.
I think for movie news, I need to. I don't know. Something to do with leaks and scoops or. I don't know.
We'll get onto this one.
Maybe the scoop could like link up with the ice cream vanilla thing from Almost Cancelled.
Oh,
because you scoop ice cream. We've got a scoop of vanilla. We've got a scoop, and it's vanilla. That's awful. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.